Okay, now I need an irritating habit.
Flatulence.
Flatulence? That's great, but it's not an irritating habit.
Bragging about Dan Quayle.
What?
Bragging about Dan Quayle.
Bragging about Dan Quayle. I like that. Okay, how about a group in society?
Republicans.
Republicans, good.
Hi, and welcome to Agnes in the Afternoon, the only afternoon talk show at night. Today we have an interesting topic. We're talking to Republicans who brag about Dan Quayle. Let me just quickly introduce our first guest. She's Rita Mooney. She is a Republican, and she loves to brag about Dan Quayle. Rita?
Thank you for letting me be here today. I'm so pleased that I can share with you all how much I feel, how good I feel about Dan. Dan, let me just share this with you. This morning, he was golfing, and he got an 80. It was so darn good. You know, I think I'm hoping, well, I shouldn't say this, but I'm hoping that, you know, President Bush takes a little longer vacation so we can see him in action in the White House. We can see how good he can do under pressure.
Now, Rita, I don't mean to generalize, but some people don't really like Dan Quayle that much. How do you feel about that?
I feel that people are naive and undereducated and they don't understand him. It's such a bad
Have you met Mr. Quayle?
I can't say that I have. I've just...
Idolize him from afar.
Oh, thanks. Me too. Are you a Republican? I'm becoming a little too overwhelmed to even talk about it right now.
We'll move on to our next guest.
Thank
This
you.
is Mike James. He is an authority on Dan Quayle. He recently wrote a book about Dan, and he's here to share his thoughts about, you know, how people, Republicans especially, brag about Dan. Mike?
Yes, that's correct. I have this new book. It's 20 Your Way to the Presidency. It's a book about the life and times of Dan Quayle, and also about the cult following that has came about the last few years, with many Republicans becoming almost obsessed with Dan Quayle. And we find it very curious, actually, since not much is known about him before he became vice president, but there seems to be this almost Elvis cult following of Dan Quayle. I mean, it's getting ridiculous. When he comes out the airplane, you find these hundreds and hundreds of Republicans standing out there at the gate going, Dan, Dan, we love you, Dan. It's,
Now, if we could just briefly talk about percentages. What's the percentage? What's the percentage of Republicans that really like to actually brag about Dan?
well, we think there's about 10% actually that are out there, but there's a lot of closet cases.
Braggers.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a lot of times the case.
And I believe that could be up to 60% of the Republicans.
That's a complete exaggeration. Complete exaggeration.
I'm glad you said that, Bob, because we're going to take you to our next guest, Bob Haggerty, and this is a little bit of the darker side of the dream. Bob used to be a Quayle-bragging Republican, and now he's a broken man, a mere shell of what he used to be. Bob?
Well, I didn't start bragging about Dan Quayle until people like your first guest started getting me into it, telling me it was good for my health. And it was,
So you met Rita before, or are you just saying people like Rita?
well, she's the one who got me started on it. Let's just put it right on one line. I had everything going for me. When I talked politics, I just talked Bush. I didn't talk Quayle. So she starts getting me into, bring them up over coffee break, tell your wife about it, teach your kids the goodness of Dan.
You think this can be a dangerous thing, don't you?
Well, all I can say is my wife's gone and I don't know where she is. I haven't seen my kids in months, and the only people hanging around me are little people with McGovern t-shirts. I don't have a job. No one talks to me anymore. They just walk by and point at me and laugh.
Now, do you feel that the reason they don't talk to you is because you were a Quayle bragger, or because you've ceased being a Quayle bragger?
Oh, it's because I was. I mean, really now, that's an obvious question, isn't it, Agnes? I mean, wouldn't you laugh at someone who brags about Dan Quayle?
Well, never. No, Rita, really. I'm a complete, I don't even have an opinion. I'm just speaking for you, for all of you, equally.
I want to know how much this man contributed to the Quail campaign in Indiana.
I take the fifth.
Yeah.
All right, we have a caller on the line. We just do have one caller today. Caller?
Yes, I was watching Bill DeVilla the other day on television, you know, giving a good Bonds commercial, and the thought occurred to me, gee, this would be great to have Dan Quayle doing these Bonds commercials. Any chance of that ever happening?
Please.
As a Quail follower, I would hope that he wouldn't lower himself to be doing bonds or any commercials for any supermarkets here in California. If he is going to be doing commercials, I would hope he would do them overseas in Japan or somewhere else where the audience, the American audience, wouldn't see him having to do that, but he could profit by it eventually.
If he'll be doing anything for bonds, he'll be a grocery clerk.
Well, Rita?
I didn't want to bring up the fact that Bob has been to therapy for more things than speaking highly of Dan Quayle.
Yes, there was the Oliver North situation. Yeah.
We're getting a little heated now, and we are running out of time. Just a few last comments from each of you, Rita?
Well, all I can say is, Dan, if you're watching, kisses, kisses, I love you.
Well, I see that if this poll keeps going, it looks like Quayle in '92.
Bob?
Well, I won't be seeing Dan Quayle at all because I don't usually hang around children's auditoriums in high schools, and that's the only places he gives speeches at.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us this evening for Agnes in the Afternoon, and we'll see you next week when we'll have ear-picking Democrats.